Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Kontext Coffee Chat. Today, I have the great pleasure to talk to our new Colombian coffee suppliers, Juan Pablo from Argote Specialty Coffee in Colombia, and the actual farmer who grows the coffee that we sell right now through our online shop, Genova. And we will find out in a little while it's called Genova as well. Yuli is her name, and I'm really, really pleased and happy that we have an opportunity to get together and have this conversation. Welcome, Juan Pablo, and welcome, Yuli. Maybe would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners real quick?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, Katia, for having us. Well, as Katia say, my name is Juan Pablo. I'm from Genova, Nariño, in Colombia. I'm the founder of Argote Specialty Coffee. We are a group of small farmers who exports directly our coffee to mainly Europe. So Yuli is one of our farmers. She's been working with us for about 2 years, and well, she has her own farm, and she's growing also a very good coffee.
Bienvenido, Yuli, and bienvenido, Juan Pablo, también. Qué placer. Maybe we can start by you, Juan Pablo, just telling us a little bit about Argote Specialty Coffee, where you're based. You mentioned Genova, which is also give away the name, why we chose the name for the coffee, Genova, because that's where Yuli is based, and that's where Argote is based as well. Maybe you can share where approximately Genova is, so we have an idea of where you are in the world, and then also what does Argote do as a business? What's your philosophy? How do you do coffee?
Yeah, of course. So Genova is based in the department of Nariño, in southwest of Colombia. We're in the limit with Ecuador, between Colombia and Ecuador. We are based in the middle of the Andes mountains, so we have a very large amount of volcanic soil. We are
Mm.
in a volcanic place, so that's why one of the reasons why the nutrition of our coffee is very important for us, and it's very good. Um, well, Argote started in 2015 as a way to give the farmers a better income, because the local prices are not very good. So we are reaching, and we know that the quality of the local coffee is very good. So all the local coffee was in the past was sold to the local market, and the farmer didn't get like the what they need to survive. So me as a farmer, I started to look for different ways to get more income. So I found out that we could export ourselves directly, because most of the incomes in the coffee chain goes either to the exporter or to the importer. So I find out that if we export ourselves the coffee, we could give the farmer a little bit more. So we started exporting our own coffee, but through the years, the market asked us for more coffee that we didn't have, because we are small farmers. So we're trying to invite our neighbors or people from the surroundings that works the same way that we did, and started exporting their coffee too, under their names. So it's not that we as Argote we export our coffee uh, under our name, every farmer has their own bags, so you know exactly where your coffee comes from. So this is a sample of what we're trying to do. We're trying to connect directly every farmer with one roaster, so they can have a link and they can work together.
Yeah, yeah, and that's maybe just to fill in one blank here. We're almost the entire value chain here, as in Yuli being the farmer, you being the exporter, then the importer for this coffee is this side up, our friends from the Netherlands that we've introduced on quite a few of the other Kontext Coffee Chats already, and then us as roasters buying the coffee. So it's a very transparent and short value chain. And well, because everybody involved is willing to be transparent, we also all know the costs involved and how and where the money flows, essentially, which is obviously an important aspect of doing business together. But also we get the wonderful opportunity like today to actually meet face to face, or even in the virtual space like this, and well, get to know each other a little bit. We had the pleasure this year in Copenhagen live as well in person, which I was really, really happy about. And yeah, I think that is what makes it special, what makes this kind of working relationship really special to me. Yeah. I don't know, maybe you want to translate for Yuli a little bit about what we spoke.
Lo que estábamos diciendo es, pues primero haciendo como una presentación y luego viendo cómo empezamos nosotros a trabajar y cómo estamos incluyendo pues a diferentes productores también. ¿Se entendió?
Pass it on. Yeah, great. Thank you. When did you say you started Argote? In
2015.
2015.
That was our first exportation.
Yeah. And then how did the group grow? Because you said in the beginning it was just you and your father, right, on your family farm. And then over the years, how many farmers did join the group over the years?
Yeah. Ahora le voy a explicar entonces cómo ha venido creciendo durante todos estos años. So in 2015, it was just, as I told you, it was just our farm, my father's and me, well, my father's farm at that time. For the next year, this setup asked us for more coffee, but we didn't have more. So we start asking in the village who wanted to join us, because we needed we started with 20 bags. We needed another 20 bags for the next year. So they were a cousin of my father who said, yeah, okay, I'm willing to do it. It was very scary at the moment because nobody here exported anything. It was like I understand that a lot of people were scared to join in the new thing, but yeah, he said, okay, I'm going in, and it went well, the 2016. So for the next year, this setup asked for more coffee. So we thought, okay, the pickers that work with us, they also have coffee in their farms, and they know how to pick, how to the quality that we are requiring. So why don't we also ask the pickers? So we talked to them, and they said, okay, yeah, they were willing to work with us also as exporters. So we included them too for the next year, and from that year till now, we are 22 families exporting our coffee. So you have to know that we are small farmers. No, the the families, they don't have more than 1 or 2 hectares tops. It means no more than 5,000 trees each one. So it's really small holders that we're working with.
And what does the value chain usually look like in Colombia? Why is it so unusual for you to become an exporter as a farmer as well? How would the farmers in Genova usually sell their coffee?
We in Colombia, we have a big company that buys all the coffee from all the farmers. That is called the Federation, and they set a price. Like every day, they set a price for the parchment coffee. So the farmers are used to sell their coffee to the National Federation to the price that they set. So what we're trying to do is to every time pay at least 50% more of the local price to the farmers, because we want quality, and we know how much work it means to get that quality.
Yeah. And the price that is set by the National Federation usually depends on the global coffee market price, right?
Yeah,
Just to fill in our listeners.
well, it has a lot of variables. One of them is the market price in New York. Another one is the exchange rate between our local currency and dollar. So, but yeah, but mostly is the global price.
Yeah. All right. So for you to realize that there is a lot of benefit of in exporting yourself, meant that you are now able, in collaboration with this site up, to set your own price, basically, to negotiate your own price for yourself, but also for the farmers who work with you. And in the end, it yields quite a bit of a higher margin for you, for everyone involved, basically, right?
Yeah. We try to set a price with this side up, and but we are also aware of the market. So I know that now, uh, when we started exporting the coffee, being a small exporter in Colombia was not easy, but now it's becoming more easy. That's why you see that there are a lot of Colombian coffees in the market,
Mhm.
because it's been easier for the farmer to export. But the farmers that are exporting uh, their coffee, uh, I think, are focused in a different market that we are focused, because we are helping small farmers. We are helping families that probably they don't have the knowledge to export themselves the their coffees. So
Yeah.
that's where we want to make a difference, to reach these families, and to get their coffee to to Europe in
Yeah.
this case.
To the international market. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also quite important to note that it's not just any farming families, but it's your community, right? It's the community you live in. And
Yeah.
so this is a way for you to actually improve the livelihood in your community for many families who live and work there as well.
Yeah, that's how you make a difference. Not just being a big fish in a small tank, just trying to everyone has a piece of the market, because I know that there is market for everyone. There's room for everyone. So I wanted to have working with me the most families as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is one main reason why we chose to work with you specifically as well. So I like that thought, and I like that concept for sure. Maybe we can ask Yuli, because you said that in the beginning, many farmers were a bit apprehensive, a bit scared to maybe not trust you, but to change to this direct export system with you. Maybe you can ask Yuli how it was for her and how she made the decision to work with you.
¿Cómo te decidiste, Yuli, a trabajar con nosotros y si fue un gran cambio para ti empezar a trabajar, empezar a exportar también tu café?
Primero pues empezó Freddy, ¿no? Y yo miré pues el resultado con él, miré que era un esfuercito más, pero miré como o sea, cómo a él le iba mejor, entonces yo decidí también, me gustó, la verdad sí me gustó, miré que el trabajo era como más reconocido, uno le tocaba vender el café allá a las empresas de cooperativas, era más barato, entonces yo me di cuenta que acá era mejor porque uno se esforzaba más en la cosecha, en coger el café mejor y miré como una bonita ganancia.
Okay, she said, okay, to be clear, her husband, Freddie, was one of the pickers that started working with us at the beginning, exporting his coffee.
Mhm.
So she said that she saw that her husband was working a little bit more in quality, but also he got way more incomes for their work. So their work his work was most recognized,
Yeah.
and she saw that that would be good for her too. So she asked us through her husband if she could join also the exporting, because she saw that in the local market the income wasn't very good, and that's how she started working with us.
So do you have your own farm then, Yuli? You don't work the same farm as your husband. You have two separate farms.
Tienes finca diferente que Freddy.
Sí, la finca mía es diferente.
Yeah,
How many
they,
trees?
Tenemos nuestro pedacito cada uno.
¿cuántos árboles?
A ver, no, pues, o sea, mío es, a ver, son 700 por un lado y el de allá de la Victoria son 1300.
So she has two different lots, one of 700 trees and the other one of 1,300 trees.
All right.
So
So
in
that's,
total is 2,000.
yeah. And how many hectares would that be? Is that 1 hectare or not?
No, it's not 1 hectare.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
All right.
not even 1 hectare.
And how about her husband? How big is your husband's farm?
¿Y Freddy, sabes?
No sé cuánto tiene.
That's
Two different businesses. Yeah, I like that.
different parts.
All right.
So
Good.
each one takes care of
Yeah.
his
Does she know do you know many other female farmers in your community? Are there many other women who have their own coffee plots and their own trees?
Que si tú conoces si hay más mujeres que tengan sus propias fincas en su comunidad.
Sí, la mayoría tienen aparte, cada quien ya maneja su propio lote y lo del marido aparte y lo de la mujer aparte, sí, yo conozco, la mayoría.
She said that most of her community, they work like that. So the husband has their own lot and the wife has their own plantation. So they are quite a few women that works with their own plantations.
Yeah. And Juan Pablo, do you know, well, you would know amongst the 22 farming families that are working with you, as you mentioned, how many women, how many female farmers are there?
We have Six of the 22 are women.
All right. So it is still a smaller percentage of the wider community then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where does because when Yuli says that most of the women she knows have their own plots, where does that all of that coffee usually go? Do they usually sell through the federation or?
Yeah, most of them, I think 90% of the coffee goes through the national federation.
All right. Yeah. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the last few weeks on the coffee market. I had a conversation with Leonard not too long ago where he did mention, that there has been a lot of upheaval because the main biggest coffee producing country in the world, Brazil, has been experiencing harvest difficulties again this season. And that always has a big impact on the global coffee price. Is that something you're struggling with in your area? Are there weather conditions that are affecting the harvest? Are you seeing price fluctuations that affect you in any major way?
Yeah, for us, in weather, the weather has been really nice this last year. So we've been recovering for a 70% decrease in production the last 3 years. So that's why all of us are happy because production has been very, very good.
Oh, so for the last 3 years, you had a 70% decrease in harvest. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was because of the rains. The rains, we had 3 straight years of rains, so it affected a lot the production in this region.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've been growing a little bit. We've been it's been better this year. But the prices is a tricky thing because we as exporters we have to compete with the local price. If the local price is too high, we need to pay the farmers more than the local price. So they export with us. And it means that our prices should raise. But if we raise our prices, so we have to compete with other countries like Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, that has like a very similar profile, and you can find, you as roasters, you can find good coffees to lower price. So that's a tricky thing for us as exporters if we want to pay them more than the local price. Also, we need to compete with Colombian prices when the price is low, because there are some importers or some exporters that buys the coffee when the price is low. So our price, our payment for the farmer is always going to be higher. So what we do is we try to see the highest price in the year of the local market, and based on that price, we give the farmer more.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit tricky to do that, but yeah, well, I am a farmer, so if I'm going to sell my coffee, I'm going to sell it to the people who pays more for it.
To
So
the
I
highest bidder.
understand. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I imagine in a year like this where the coffee price is going up because Brazil is producing a lower quantity than usual. Well, that's one of the reasons, but then I imagine you must be of two minds, right? As a farmer, that means, yay, more for your coffee. But as an exporter, you also have to be mindful of what you said, that you have to be able to compete based on price, right? But then I do imagine that even the surrounding coffee origins will experience similar challenges, no? Because the coffee price is global, and so they will have to compete with that price as well.
Yeah, but as I told you, the coffee price is global, but not the harvest time. So the surroundings, they had the harvest in the first months of the year. So the price there were lower, were like maybe 40% lower. So they can compete better with the prices that we are facing now.
I think having a shorter value chain, like we're trying to achieve through this side up as well, at least there are less players involved, so that the pieces of the cake don't have to be smaller and smaller and smaller, because more and more people want some part of the cake, right? At least that way it's easier to have a more equitable division of the price cake. That's my hope anyways.
Yeah, and also we're trying to do some more different strategies. So now from some years before now, we're doing different processing and teach the farmers to do different processes so they can earn more based on the process. So we're not looking for the price of the local market, because every process has their own work involved, so they have their own price. Also, we're trying to encourage people to plant new varieties, well, not new, well, different varieties, and those varieties also are going to go straight to the specialty coffee market, and the specialty coffee market pays very good for those varieties. So that's two of the strategies that we're doing with our farmers, uh, to fight a little bit with against this price fluctuation and everything.
Getting creative, yes. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about the processing, because I think many of our listeners maybe don't know that much about processing of coffee to begin with, and how you can get creative with it as well. And then maybe we can ask Yuli afterwards whether she applies any creativity in how she processes her coffee as well.
She's not doing processing yet,
All
because
right.
we do processing. As I told you, process have a different price, so we do process according to what the market ask.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, for coffee, you know that the coffee process basically in Colombia is a washed process. That means that you depulp the cherry and you do a small fermentation to the cherry, and then you wash it. So what I did is that I studied I studied a little bit of fermentation. So I'm trying to apply what I studied to the coffee process. So I'm I'm trying to get more flavors, different flavors from the same coffee based on the fermentation that I do to the coffee. So according to that, you can find different flavors. You can find more sweetness. You can find a little bit of licorice. You can find more acidity in your coffee, depending on the process that we make to the fermentation process that we make. And I show this to the roasters, and the roaster said, okay, yeah, my customers may like this kind of fermentation. So I teach the farmer who works with that roaster. I teach the farmer how to make that process, and there is more possibilities either for the roaster and for the farmer too.
Yeah. All right. So it's essentially by well, controlling the fermentation in different ways. That can involve, I know we've talked about lactic fermentation, for example. So maybe you can just give one example of what such a customized process can look like, so people have a better idea of what we're talking about, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
unless it's a trade secret.
No. It's okay. So that's one of the things that I don't want to make this business full of secrets. Yeah, I have my own recipe, so everyone can develop their own process. So the coffee is going to be different.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do to make it a lactic fermentation? What's
We're
involved?
trying to, okay. We're trying to make for the lactic fermentation. We're trying to make uh, the environment of the fermentation uh, good for acid lactic bacteria to live. So how can we do that? We add salt to the to the fermentation tank. So we're trying to, yeah, every year I'm trying to do different amounts of bacteria, so I can see how the coffee evolves, of how the coffee tastes.
All right. So it is truly an experimental process of different steps, and then tasting it, seeing the outcome, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think it's relevant to mention that this is something in the coffee market that has really taken off over the last few years. These experimental types of processes, they should be regarded somewhat critically, in the sense that sometimes, from what I gather, the risk is just left with the farmer. So the market, like many roasters, they ask for these types of coffees. And then smallholder farmers, or farmer groups, respond by making up a batch of this coffee. But then sometimes the roasters may taste them and not like them after all, and then the farmers can just be stuck with the result. And so all the risk stays with the farmer. But you, in this value chain, that doesn't happen, because you went down the road of direct communication, right? So you talk to the roasters and see what they want, and then you do these experiments, and they can try small amounts, and then afterwards they place an order specifically for that kind of coffee.
Yeah.
And then you can go and make it up in the batch size that they order, and so the risk is more evenly distributed in that sense, no?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I do the experiments. I set like I do like well, I do like a standardization of the process, and once the standardization is okay, and the roaster taste the results of the experiment, and it said, okay, I want 2 bags, I want 4 bags. So then I teach the farmer, because otherwise, after a lot of work to sell this coffee to the local price, is not worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So there is also something worth noting. There is a lot more work involved in producing these coffees, which is what makes them more expensive, obviously, because it is actual manual labor that is involved in producing these experimental coffees.
Yeah,
And yeah, maybe we can. Sorry.
it's a teaching process also there. So that's something that the market don't see. There
Yeah.
is a teaching process involved, that it requires time and requires effort from the farmer and from the teacher.
Yeah, yeah, and because it is experimental, there is always an element of risk as well, right? And if you only have a small harvest of cherries, the risk is quite substantial. If you experiment with some of what you harvested and the experiment goes wrong, then as a farmer, you're left with a lower income for that year, right? That is something that's really worth noting. Yeah. And yeah, maybe we can ask Yuli. You said that as of now, she isn't involved as much in the processing side of her coffee, but is that something you would like to get involved with in the future? Are you interested in learning more about processing and doing different experiments as well?
Vos sabes de los cafés que estamos sacando con Eider y John, los alcohólicos y todos esos procesos diferentes, ¿cierto? Que si te gustaría hacerlos, conocer más de esos procesos.
Interesante sería.
Porque pues vos sabes que uno hace esos procesos, pero también el pago es diferente.
Claro, ¿no? Bueno, sería, me interesaría también. Bueno.
She said yes.
Simple and easy, I like it.
Yo una vez le pasé un cafecito a John
Sí.
y él lo había convertido, pues. Y el pago, claro, a mí me gusta, el paguito fue masito.
She says that like some of the farmers that make these different processes lives next to her.
Mm-hmm.
So she have seen that they are doing these processes, and they also get more money for these processes. So she said that it would be interested for her to be part of it too.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, well, my observation, this setup sent me a few samples of different lots that you sent them this year. And I decided on going with the, what is it called? The Moreno line, right? The higher quality line. And then I got really lucky in receiving Yuli's coffee. And I mean, I could definitely taste a difference in quality between the samples that they sent. And so I was just wondering, what does she do to make her coffee taste so amazing? Because it already tastes really nice, and it's well, not a simple washed process, but it's just the regular washed process that you apply, right? So I can only imagine if you start experimenting with it, there's loads of potential. But what is it on the farm level that you do, Yuli, to create such an amazing quality in your coffee?
Katia recibió varias muestras del café que le enviamos y resulta que ella recibió un café tuyo. Entonces ella dice que el café tuyo era muchísimo, se podía ver la diferencia de calidad entre tu café y las otras muestras. Entonces ella dice, ¿qué hiciste vos para tener el café?
Yo no sé. Pues ha de ser el cuidado, ¿no? Pues el café de pronto yo le cambié algo así.
¿El qué?
El abono. El abono, pues usted sabe que el abono no abona, a veces le echa, a veces no, sino que yo manejo más que todo, a mí me enseñó mi papá el cuidado del café. Que toca de cuidar el palito, o sea, más que todo yo lo mantengo apodado y se le quita parcas de abajo, o sea, eso es un manejo que a mí me enseñaron, ¿no? Y de pronto haya sido el cambio como del abono.
Well, she said that she really don't know, she really doesn't know, but she assumes that it was what her father taught her to take care of the tree. So to
semilla.
to do the maintenance of the tree properly, to to take good care of the tree. And she well, she's not organic yet. She's but she do have some. She puts some of organic fertilizer in the in in the fields. That's one of the issues that we are fighting to try to change the mind of the people. It's hard to go to organic.
Mhm. So you're saying she's using organic fertilizers, but also
She's
non-organic
using
fertilizers.
she's using non-organic fertilizers, but also she also grows chickens,
Mhm.
so she used
Manure.
the manure to try to put something extra to the field.
Mhm. All right. And I think that then we've kind of arrived at the other question that I wanted to ask you, because the other aspect, besides the very direct and transparent connection between you, your farmers, the importer at the side up, and us as roasters, which I really appreciate. The other aspect is um, the regenerative practices that you've adopted over the years, and also everything that's going on in that area, what you've built in that area. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, how regenerative practices factor into the work that you do, and also maybe what the agroforestry training hub is that you have built as well.
Yeah. So a few years ago, we were having a discussion with with my father, uh, due to the chemical fertilization that people used to do here. So we were discussing to switch to an organic fertilization, but right here is too hard because the chemical fertilization has been done for many years, and there are governmental aids to chemical fertilization, so it's really hard to fight against that. So we with my father, we started to study a little bit more uh, about organic fertilization. We decided to try it in our own farms. So as a way to show people that it can be done uh, without without risk, because here people thinks that if you're growing organic, it means that your crop is lower, it means that the quality is lower, but we're trying to demonstrate that it's not true. So we started doing that for the first 3 years, and then we decided to do a little bit uh, more with the experiments that we've been doing. So we decided to build an education center so we can teach people to do their own organic fertilizers, and to show them uh, that that what they believe was not true. So we have the farm, we have the education center in the middle of the farm, so they can see uh, that we've been growing this coffee for 4 5 years, fully organic, and it's not, you can't notice the difference between this one and the coffee that's been growing with chemicals. Maybe you can see microbiologically, you can see more microorganisms in our farm, more life in our farm than in other farms.
You're being humble, I think. I'm almost certain that that is the case. I've been learning a lot about the soil health and microbiology in the soil and all of that. And from what I gather, once you use extensive chemical inputs, that leads to the microbiology just being really unhealthy or even almost non-existent, right? Or and so once you stop using those chemical inputs, those inorganic inputs, the microbiology can recover and the life in the soil comes back. So I'm almost certain that from that point of view, your farm will be more healthy than many other farms in Colombia. Because to put this into a little more context, you mentioned it almost as a side note, but from what I understand, the National Federation in Colombia has been promoting chemical agriculture for decades, right? They even have shares in chemical companies that produce chemical inputs for agriculture. And so using those fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides has been subsidized very heavily by the government. So it's really, financially speaking, an easy choice for Colombian coffee farmers to go down that road and get cheap inputs, and at the same time maybe also get their land addicted to them in a sense.
Yes, because that's that's what I think. That's an addiction that has the soil. Once you put chemicals in it, it's as you said, the microorganisms that are in charge of provide the food to the plants, they disappear. So the chemicals go straight to the plants and they are not decomposed by the microorganisms. So you can see more microorganisms in the in the field. So it's like putting a direct direct way to the food to the stomach of the plant. So no decomposition and no other important processes doing it in the feeding of the plant.
Yeah, it's like fast food, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So maybe you can also, so that's one important aspect. You've switched to organic, and I guess, would you call it organic farming, biological farming methods on your farm without using any external chemical inputs? But another aspect of the regenerative way you've come to practice on your farm is the agroforestry aspect as well, no? Because as I understand, a lot of coffee in Colombia is farmed under direct sun exposure in big monocrop plantations, no?
Yeah, we're trying to do that, to plant local trees. We've been noticed that the coffee that grows under shade grows stronger. The cherries are sweeter, and also if we use different varieties, the varieties that are not produced in a laboratory, those varieties are used to share the field with other trees. So that's also why we want to farmers to plant another varieties that are not produced in laboratories, so they can have different trees around that provide organic matter, that provide food for birds and bees and different life in the farm.
And that's also part of the training that you offer in the training hub for your farming community?
Yeah, Yeah, we're also trying to start a nursery of different trees,
Oh,
so we can share them with producers.
yeah. And what would you say, how many of the farmers you work with are taking advantage of the training hub and the well skills that you've learned throughout your journey and that you're sharing there?
Yeah, well, it's not well, the hub is not just for the farmers that work with us. The center is open to everyone in the community. So we had the last training course that we had before harvest time starts. They came more than 50 people from not just the community but from all other parts of Colombia.
That's amazing. So the
Yes.
news is spreading that you're doing things a little differently over there.
Yeah.
And um, would you say that your approach to how you farm is exceptional in Colombia, or are there more places like Genova, like your training hub?
I, to be honest, I don't know because Colombia is so big and we have a lot of farmers. Maybe they are more, but people don't know about it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that there are more small farmers trying to do the same, but they are not. They don't communicate as much. So yeah, I think you can find more.
Yeah, hard to know without the kind of network of communication. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'm conscious of the time. I'm really, really grateful to you both for sharing your time with me. Um, this has been really interesting, and I'm really impressed with all the work that you do, and I'm really glad to hear that things are shifting slowly because. I mean, especially this aspect of chemical farming, really, that has been so predominant in Colombia, has been something that, as a roaster, I've been quite aware of and a bit wary of as well. And so to start working with you is a bit of a revelation for me, really, and it's also really a reason for hope. It's obviously it's about community building, which is really important, but it's that community in your case also includes all other living beings that play an important role in coffee farming as well, which I really love.
Yeah.
So thank you for your efforts and your hard work.
Very much for having us, and thank you very much for your support. It's really important for us.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you find important to share yourself, Juan Pablo, but also Yuli? Is there anything else that that you would like to share about how you farm or what you do?
Que si hay algo más que quieres decir sobre ti,
Nada más.
¿no?
No,
She's a little bit shy.
Yes, I can tell.
She's not like that in the real life, you know.
Camera shy.
Yeah, she's not shy. When you meet her, you're going to see she's not like that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing everything. And yeah, I really hope I will get to the chance to meet you again, Juan Pablo, and meet you, Yuli, in person as well.
We, I hope you can make it next year. We need extra hands.
Yes, that would be amazing for sure. I'll get my training on so I can, have enough strength to come pick coffee and process it with you as well.
That would be fun.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Katya.